Dafra 3, Al Wasl 1. There's a strike and a goal!
Keeper got his hand to it, but he couldn't keep it out.
Hello and welcome to Football Focus, your weekly show where we discuss all things UAE football. A weekend of football that certainly didn't disappoint in the ADNOC Pro League. Match week 2 brought us plenty of goals, red cards, plenty of action, a little bit of drama and some shock results. Helping me guide you through all of the action is UAE football legend Ibrahim Diaki, UAE football expert and commentator Pedro Correa. Firstly, welcome chaps. Another week down, early days, but many shock results. Ibrahim.
Yes, Amy, it was a very great week. We saw the level of competitivity of the ADNOC Pro League this season. So many wins and great wins also. So there is so many things to talk about. But what I was most good to see is the way how the team were fighting to try to get the 3 points. And there is many things to talk about.
And Pedro, it's very early days, only 2 games in, but it's a very big opportunity for clubs just to get slightly ahead early doors. And only 2 teams, Al Ain and Al Nasr, have managed to keep that perfect record.
Definitely, Amy. Great competitiveness among all the teams. With the exception of Dafra's score against Al Wasl, all the other results were tight. Only 1 goal difference in the other matches. All played at an interesting tempo and intensity, in my opinion. And mostly the fact that only Al Nasr and Al Ain won while having most of the possession in their respective matches is just an interesting fact. I would not say it explains it all, but it's an interesting fact to bring into the table. Only those 2 clubs in their respective matches won while having most of the possession. So the other teams mostly played in fast attacking transitions and counterattacks.
Absolutely, and Al Ain and Al Nasr perhaps having not the greatest of seasons last season, but coming in and starting as they mean to go on, of course, ending just before the international break at the top of the table.
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, Al Ain is basically almost the same season. They just finished one season and started at the other. And Al Nasr is a new beginning. Again, a new dawn at the Al Maktoum Stadium with new signings, a new coach. Some interesting glimpses from these first 2 rounds. Let us see what they will be able to do next.
Well, let's take a look at some of the stats that we had, stats and facts from match week 2 in the ADNOC Pro League. So 14 games played, 34 goals. There was only 1 game with no goals, and that's the first in both of the opening games. 2.43, slightly less than the average we've seen in past seasons, but still very good 34 goals and 9 clean sheets. Of course, Labakojo, our top goal scorer, starting as he left off last season. He ended with 20 goals last season. And also alongside him, Alejandro Romero, also known as Kaku, he's the top assist. He also ended top of the tree with assists. So 2 Al Ain players making moves in the ADNOC Pro League. So looking at the key results from this weekend, Baniyas 0, Calba 1, of course, through a penalty. So by the skin of the teeth, they took the 3 points, but a well-deserved 3 points in the end. Our match of the week was Sharjah 0, Al Jazira 1. A huge comeback and turnaround for Al Jazira after their loss in the opening game. Al Dafra 3, Al Wasl 1, perhaps the shock result of the weekend. Dibba 2, Elaine 3. Very much a game of two halves. A very dramatic encounter in Dibba.
Almost a shock also there.
Yes. And Al Wahda 0, Shabab Al Ahli 0, the first goalless draw of the league so far. Al Bataeh 2, Khorfakkan 1, a very close fixture. And Al Nasr, again, starting as they mean to go on in the Adnoc Pro League, 1-0 against Ajman. So, Al Nasr and Elaine top of the table. Al Wahda and Shabab Al Ahli just sitting behind in third and fourth after that goalless draw. Sharjah in fifth, Khorfakkan in sixth, and Al Jazira in seventh. What's your thoughts, Ibrahim? Elaine, top of the table, must be a promising sign.
No, not surprising. As I mentioned in the preview, after coming back from the World Cup of the clubs, they know they have the task that is waiting for them this season. So I'm not surprised. They did a great game against Calba, Dibba. They were good, compact. They play compact, good composure, and I think the team spirit there was there. That's the reason made them win the game. And but we have to give credit to Dibba. The game that they did was amazing. The way how they play as a block, the way they were doing the offensive attacks. Perfect game, but I think they were not lucky enough. Otherwise, it could have been bad for Alain.
Yes, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of that game in just a moment. But we're just going to take a look at all of the highlights from this weekend. It was certainly an entertaining one in match week 2.
Match week 2 of the Adnoc Pro League season saw the reigning champions held to a draw, and only 2 clubs maintain a perfect start to their seasons. Calba left it very late to beat Baniyas. Godos got the only goal that sees Baniyas remain winless. Al Jazira bounced back from their opening day defeat to snatch a 1-0 win away at Sharjah, Mamadou Koulibaly getting the goal. Promoted Al Dafra have 3 points now thanks to an impressive 3-1 win at home against the champions of 2 seasons ago, Al Wasl. Alain had to fight hard to make it 2 wins from 2. They were pushed all the way by the other promoted side, Dibba, but Husseini Rahimi's late winner sealed the 3 points. Despite both getting 2-0 wins to start their seasons, Al Wahda and champions Shabab Al Ahli cancelled each other out and played out a goalless draw. Al Bataeh got a welcome win against Khorfakkan, and Al Nasr joined Alain with a 100% winning start after their narrow 1-0 win at home against Ajman. Abdoulaye Touré got the solitary goal of the match.
Many interesting results in match week 2. Ibrahim and Pedro, which was your standout game, perhaps the most unpredictable?
Definitely Dafra El Wasl. I know Pedro will not like that, but it was a great game that I watched from the first till the end. And what was surprising is to see Dafra, after 2 years, coming back to the Adnoc Pro League, playing against a team like El Wasl, which is in the great shape and has a great coach and quality players. The game they did was completely amazing because the way how they occupied the space, the way how the fighting spirit, especially, and great result, 3-1. And I feel like if they keep going like this, they can do very well in the Adnoc Pro League. If you remember in the preview, I told you about Dafra. Is one of the teams you need to be careful from because they have a player who are coming, for example, from a Jazira, El Wahda, Alain. So you'd see the name Dafra, but under you have quality players.
I agree with Ibrahim, maybe, Amy. And on top of that, also Dibba with Alain. It was close. You were there for commentary. It was close. Alain 2-0 up and then Dibba coming back 2-2, and in the end, in the dying seconds of the match, 3-2 for Alain. I think both Dibba and Dafra, in terms of the fight to avoid the relegation this season, I think they will do much better than the other teams in the previous seasons, I believe at least.
Well, talking of Dibba and Alain, it is our first match that we're going to analyse here this evening. So, of course, a very, very close encounter, perhaps unexpected for Alain coming all the way to Dibba. And a game, as I said earlier on, a game of two halves. Dibba weren't very much involved in the first half. Alain dominated, in particular through the likes of Kaku and Laba Kojo. Also, Eric Jorgens getting involved with an assist in the first half. But in the second half, Dibba came out the flanks and absolutely dominated at times and really caught Alain off guard.
What a game that was Alain against Dibba. Dibba is same situation like El Dafra. They have multiple players. They have 26 new signees. So it's, I was not surprised with that game because you could see already from the first 10 minutes how Dibba was so confident and they were coming for that win. But of course, you have a player like Laba. He was top scorer last season. He's not scared. He has the quality and what an amazing striker that Alain has there. So he proved again that he deserved to be the top scorer. And of course, the experience of quality players like Kaku, Palacios, and Chadli, you could see that compatibility between the players, the movement, and they were efficient and they made the difference.
I think also something just to quickly highlight, all three of Alain's goals, as we just saw there, came from a header. Do you think this is something they've really worked on the training ground? Because their aerial dominance was unbelievable.
Yes, Amy, but on top of that, I think there was some lack of focus defensively there for Dibba, especially in the first two goals, because they left Kako alone wide right. He does that quite a lot. He overloads that right flank and uses the left foot to deliver. And they allow them to do that twice. And of course, then with the likes of Laba inside the box, these things can happen. But in any case, a good match for Dibba. Strategically, they did well. They almost got at least 1 point. It would be memorable for them. Great on the counter, good discipline in the overall defensively, but some mistakes against these teams, you cannot make them.
Absolutely, and it was very close for Dibba. Just that red card from Mayed Al-Taniji perhaps just let them down going into the final couple of minutes. So moving on to our next match. It was actually our match of the week, Sharjah versus Al Jazira. Sharjah 0, Al Jazira 1. Ibrahim, Al Jazira bounced back after their 3-2 loss against Khorfakkan in the opening weekend. How important is that early response?
Yeah, we covered that game. What a game. We all like the way from both sides, Sharjah and Jazira, the way how the game started, and they did both great performance. But Jazira went there with such confidence, and especially having a new coach like Coach Hamza, taking the team and at this critical period, because changing a coach, bringing a new one is not easy for the team, for the players. So they did a great job, great organization. You could see from the defense line or midfielders and the striker, the way how the team was going up and back together. It was well done, and I really have to give credit to Hamza and also to the players, because if you take a player like who was playing on the left wing, Ramadan, he's not a winger, he's a playmaker, but he could play on the left side and he did his job correctly. But this is the mentality and the tactic that the coach he put into the team to win that game.
And Pedro, we were discussing on the day, of course, it was our match of the week, but we just felt at times with the way Al Jazira set up, they just blocked off Sharjah on a number of occasions, in particular down that left-hand channel. And maybe the creativity just ran out a little bit towards the end for Sharjah.
Definitely, Amy. Picking up on what Ibrahim was saying, I think the position of Ramadan open wide on the right to block mostly David Petrovic forward runs. Also the absence of Caio Lucas. Let's not forget about that. Yep. It was important. because he brings flares, he brings goals to Sharjah, and he can individually score and somehow get the 3 points for his side. So it was a huge miss for Sharjah, but mostly I think Jazira completely outplayed tactically and strategically, mainly outplayed Sharjah. Blocked the middle, the creativity in the middle, forced them whenever possible to go out, and even out they were also blocking the forward runs on the left, making the build-up very hard from the back, as Sharjah loves to have the possession and build up patiently, and they also created many problems there. So a tactical masterclass by Jazira.
Well, Al Jazira earned the 3 points, and Sharjah will look to rebound back from that one. So our next match is Al Dafra versus Al Wasl. Sorry, Pedro, you won't want to hear this one, but Al Dafra 3, Al Wasl 1. I mean, it was the biggest shock of the weekend, that's for sure, Pedro. In particular, Al Dafra, they look like they want to remain in the ADNOC Pro League.
Of course, Dafra, let's not forget, they were absent these last 2 seasons, but they are an historical side of the ADNOC Pro League. They have been there for most of the other seasons, ever since the professional era began. And now they come back with high expectations. Again, many changes, as it's normal in a team that just got promoted from Division 1. And in this match, they pretty much absorbed Al Wasl's pressure and allowed Al Wasl somehow to strategically have the possession. Al Wasl would love to have that in any case. And Al Wasl, of course, took charge of the match and tried to play in their traditional style. Dafra managed to contain that pressure somehow. And then on the counter and the fast attacking transitions, they won the match in a very clear way. I think Al Wasl, in terms of their defensive transitions mostly, they need to be sharper for the upcoming matches.
Absolutely. And Petrovic's double substitution in that second half for Al Dafra, Ibrahim, how crucial was Khalil Ibrahim's impact off the bench?
I was about to talk about the coach, because the tactic he put there to beat Al Wasl was great, because you could see from the way how they played, they were feeling comfortable and playing with such confidence. That's what made the difference. The team spirit was there, but at the same time, the coach, what he did, he could read exactly the game of Al Wasl, and that's what made the difference too. You could, if it's no Al Wasl, is the type of team that they play with great ball possession, and then try to find the wing, and then like the way how they scored the first goal. This is Al Wasl, and I think the coach Petkovic, he understood the power and the strength of Al Wasl. He could use that against them to try to reduce the space. Sometimes when you see the player of Al Wasl was receiving the ball, you will see 2 players of Dafra coming and closing the space. They didn't even give them a chance to breathe.
Yep.
So, and all the duel in the midfield, the second ball, Dafra was winning the duel. So that made also a difference. And great work from Dafra and great work from the coach.
And talking of Khalil Ibrahim, he was brought on only for 29 minutes. I mean, he was really a super sub, Pedro. He came on, he made the impact. He was so skillful, he pressed hard, and you could see he really wanted it. He claimed an assist and a goal in those 29 minutes. How crucial will he be this season?
This is what I was saying. Khalil Ibrahim is well known that a player of Al Wahda. He did good also in Al Wahda. He has the experience, he has the quality. So I'm not surprised from when he came in, he added that power on the offensive line of Dafra. And he's a very important player for the team. And what a great goal with what great control. And he put the ball in the perfect corner.
You need a mix, Amy. By the end of the day, you need a mix of these kinds of players, experienced players with many seasons in the top flight, mostly for Al Wahda, as Ibrahim said. And you need younger players to bring that flair and that speed, different energy to the game. You need all that to have a good team. In this case, credits to what Dafra did. Al Wasl must do better defensively, must be more on time, must be closer to the opponents. Al Wasl, with the ball, is a good team and will do well. Without the ball, especially looking at this match, must do better, must do much better.
Well, perhaps a concentration lapse for Al Wasl in that game, but Al Dafra, credit where credit is due.
I think they underestimated a bit Dafra, yeah. Because Dafra was more ready. You could see the way out they were fighting for the second ball, and he made the difference sometimes.
Yeah, well, it was a long journey back for Al Wasl, that's for sure, from Al Dafra. Anyway, moving on to our next match. It's Al Wahda versus Shabab Al Ahli, the only goalless draw we've had so far in the new campaign. Al Wahda 0, Shabab Al Ahli 0. Pedro, a goalless draw in a very intense encounter.
It was a draw in the score, and it was a draw tactically, it was a draw strategically. Great mutual respect by both teams, as expected. Two Portuguese coaches, they know each other quite well, so naturally they are aware of what they can offer in terms of strategy to their respective sides. Al Wahda blocked Shabab Al Ahli's key points very well. Shabab Al Ahli had a tough time to get into the last third to create opportunities. While on the other hand, mostly in the second half, the first half was extremely cagey, but the second half, the game opened up a little bit more, and then Wahda had a few chances where they could have scored. It was an intense match. It was a very competitive match, entertaining somehow, but unfortunately goalless.
And talking of entertainment, there was many fans there as well. I think this fixture alone was very anticipated by both sets of fans. So Shabab Al Ahli supporters made their way down to the Al Nayan Stadium, and of course the home support was out, which is fantastic for the league.
Definitely. Shabab Al Ahli, the reigning champions, so naturally they come with that momentum for the beginning of the season. Wahda on the other side, Wahda is also known to have a very big fan base. Unfortunately for Wahda, they have not won many trophies over the last few seasons in the league for a long time, but this season again, good expectations, and I think having in mind the signings they had over the summer, like Dusan Tadic, for example, yes, they can compete for the title this season, and of course the fans are excited with that possibility.
I think also just to quickly mention there, 2 red cards in that game, Ibrahim. How does that really impact? Do you think it was a sign of frustration, or just because it was a highly intense game?
Yes, the score was 0-0, but it was a very productive game. Because, I saw many, as Pedro mentioned, a lot of great actions, and both teams, they were trying. The only part, they were not efficient enough. But sometimes it can happen, and two challengers who are looking for the title. So it's kind of normal to see this kind of result, because they were fighting. Both teams, they were very well organized, great occupation of the space in the field, and sometimes when you put two tactics are almost similar, you end up with the 0-0. So I think, but I still believe that Al Wahda is still missing that finisher, the striker in the front line. And Shabab Al Ahli, obviously they have it, but Al Wahda, the moment when they will have that finisher, Krebin is trying, because he's not a deep striker, but he's somebody who can sometimes come into the midfield, play a little bit and then go forward. But because he has a great quality also to do that. So I feel like I watched the game, very, very nice game, and a lot of actions from the first minute to the end. So 0-0, I think, is a fair score for both.
I agree with you, Ibrahim, on that, and I think probably Al Wahda throughout the season will use most about the versatility up front of those two players, Tadic and Krebin.
Definitely.
So moving on to Al Bataeh versus Khorfakkan, 2 mid-table clubs that we tend to see in previous seasons. An entertaining game at that, Pedro. Now, Khorfakkan pressed late, but they just couldn't really score. Is this a concern for their finishing?
No, they won the first match against Jazira, and now they lost with Bataeh. A hard-fought match for both teams, Sharjah derby. I was there for commentary. Bataeh impressed me. I did also their first match with Alain. Impressed me for their tactical discipline. Defensively, they are a very solid side as we speak. Offensively, I feel like they are growing, even though they missed a bang for this match. Omar Kita played in his position, and it was a surprise. I have never seen Omar Kita play in that position. Let me tell you, it can work because of his physicality as a striker. I think now with the signing of Daniel Bessa for Bataeh, they will have more creativity in the midfield, which is good for them. I think they need probably a set of wingers to help them out. On the other side, Khorfakkan, a very good side. Some defensive mistakes. That front line is amazing, as I said before. I think they are missing a creative player in the midfield. If they bring that creative player to the midfield to link up with that front line of three, because many times it's either Tissoudali or Lorenzi or even Ailton Beaumont, not as much, but the other two, to drop and try to pick up the possession and organize. If they bring a third midfielder, a more creative midfielder, I think Khorfakkan will be a very good side, probably the dark horses of the league.
It was an excellent first win for Al Bataeh anyhow. So moving on to Al Nasr against Ajman. Al Nasr 1, Ajman 0. Al Nasr 2 consecutive wins, ending just before the international break in second. It's an amazing achievement.
Definitely bringing a new set of hope to the Al Maktoum Stadium. Can it be this season? New coach, new players. It is not easy to beat Ajman. You know, Ajman is a very well organized side, defensively mostly. The strategy, mostly in the away matches, is to drop the lines, to be compact in the back, narrow, to defend narrow, to allow the opponent to have the ball and then to try to hurt them on the counter. Ajman was short in that particular aspect of the game this time around. And Al Nasr mostly controlled the possession and eventually won the match.
It's very nice to see them on the top because for so many years they're looking for that title. So seeing just the name Al Nasr between the top and the first line is nice to see. And of course, they have many ambitions this season. It's visible with the signings that they did. And actually, they don't even have Ali Mabkout. Maybe he's injured. I think when he will come back, it will be more. He will add that value for Al Nasr, and it's nice to see them. 2 first win is important for the team, and if they have to keep it like this until the end of the season.
Yeah, it's a good start, but consistency, that's exactly what they need. Of course, for Ajman, it's a bit of a worry, but it's only 2 games in. There's always room to wriggle round and come back. So moving on to Calba versus Baniyas. Calba 1, Baniyas 0. It was a bit of a difficult game for Baniyas, of course. It was quite an evenly contested game. It was only a penalty which Godos converted, Ibrahim. Do you think that Calba deserved the 3 points?
Yeah, Calba is a team that likes to fight a lot. Everywhere they go, they give the 100%. I think the coach of Baniyas is struggling a bit with trying to put the right players into the field. But it's just the beginning of the season. He needs time maybe to try to see exactly the right tactic he can put in place to win the game. Baniyas is a challenger also. He's a team from Abu Dhabi, strong team. They have quality players. But I feel like the coach is still need maybe more time to try to understand exactly what the team needs to go for the challenges.
Yes, well, Baniyas was, of course, our very first match of the week this season, and we saw how many new signings they have. So it is going to take them a little bit of time just to find that rhythm and flow between one another.
And that's quite natural, I think. Many changes. It's a different Baniyas from the previous seasons.
Yeah.
I think they need to improve in terms of their creativity, mostly up front. They faced Calba, and Calba is a side who's tailor-made for away matches. Yeah. The way they are organized, the way they defend, the way they wait for the opponent, they frustrate the opponent. So Baniyas had around 60% of the possession. They were mostly in control of the ball, but they could not hurt Calba. As much as they tried going right, left, and mostly they were trying right and left. Through the middle, it was very crowded. They could not hurt Calba. And then Calba was always looking for a break. And in the end, the break came from a penalty. But they were always looking for a break to hurt them on the counter.
Well, we're going to take a look at the best starting 11 from match week 2. Of course, many standout names there existing alongside old and obviously new. Pimenta, Kaku, Rahimi, a new signing. He's come across to where his role model is Soufiane Rahimi. Same name, different face, but already getting on the score sheet for Elaine.
Different position also, not yes. Exactly the same position.
But are there any standout players that you feel are missing from that starting 11?
Yeah, definitely. I think Koulibaly from Jazira, he did a great game. He put that balance in that midfield against Sharjah. Al Neni could be there also. And Zakaria from El Dafra, I saw against, he was the offensive midfielder who was also controlling the midfield. And of course, Laba, what a striker. And to score 2 goals like this already now he has 3 goals in the beginning of the season. And that game he did well. So I think Laba, Zakaria, Koulibaly and El Nini should have been there.
Meleke, honorable mention. Allow me to do that because I was there for the match. He got injured around 10 minutes to the end, and he kept going as he could because he sustained an injury. Get well soon, by the way. And he scored an impressive goal, a great header. And he ran miles. Again, both him and Ganiev, they run miles there in the middle for Bataeh. So a very honourable mention for him there.
Yeah, they were both certainly workhorses in that game, as they normally are. And looking at our best coach of match week 2, so Željko Petrovic, of course, that huge result against Al Wasl. I think he deserves to be there. Ibrahim.
I think Pedro knows that very well. The coach did perfectly. He put the right tactic to beat El Wasl. He did a great job. He understood exactly how El Wasl are moving, how they start from the build-up, and he could put in place a strong midfield that can counter always, and very aggressive also, fighting for the second balls, and that made the difference.
It was a great warning for everyone else in the ADNOC Pro League. It's not going to be easy to play Dafra in Dafra.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy at all. So it was a warning sign
Even away,
to everyone. Yeah. But mostly home. It's because you play against Dafra and you play against the circumstances, the weather, all that. It's a stronghold for Dafra, and it will be a stronghold, I believe, throughout the season.
Yeah, well, I think from this weekend alone, the 2 new promoted clubs, Dibba and Al Dafra, they've certainly shown what they'll bring to the ADNOC Pro League, and it's not going to be an easy game against them, that's for sure. So taking a look at match week 3, this will obviously be when we return from the international break in a couple of weeks' time. Calba versus Al Wahda, Shabab Al Ahli up against Baniyas, and Khorfakkan against Sharjah in a Sharjah derby. The Sharjah derbies always crop up quite frequently as we have a large number of teams that belong to Sharjah. Al Dafra against Dibba, of course, they're refreshing from Division 1 days, but that'll be an interesting encounter. Ajman up against Al Bataeh, really a must 3 points for Ajman in that game. And then Al Jazira against Al Nasr, and Al Wasl with a very difficult game after that loss against Elaine.
It will be also a difficult game for Elaine, I believe. And these matches, particularly on Saturday, 2 very big matches from round 3. Yeah?
All the games are important. So for me, I'm just excited. I can't wait to see those games.
Well, there's plenty to talk about. We could be here all night, but that's it for Final Score. Ibrahim, Pedro, thank you so much for joining me here in the studio. We will be back after the international break, but for now, it's goodbye. Ma salama.